Is the concept of intelligent design religious? Hi, it's Calvin Smith here, and welcome to Creation Basics, where our goal is to make God's creation part of your everyday conversation. Now, today's question, is the idea of intelligent design religious? Well, the concept of intelligent design is a belief in a designer in nature, in the laws of science, and of some of the biological systems we see in creatures today being created. And while Christian creationists, of course, admit the Bible is why we believe in a designer or a creator God, not all ID believers do. So even though many ID believers support evolution, many of them say that, well, evolution couldn't have caused some of the complex design found in some of the living things we see. They argue that irreducible complexity and information theory, and maybe just plain old common sense, point to the idea that someone must have designed at least certain features in plants, animals, and people on Earth. Of course, they don't say who did it. And because the story of evolution is making less and less sense all the time, the ID movement is growing rapidly worldwide. Many PhD scientists have stood up and said, look, they no longer believe in what we call the story. They call the theory of evolution. The reason we don't call it a theory is because we don't actually think it meets the scientific criteria to be called a scientific theory. But anyway, I digress. Now evolutionists kick back. They say, well, ID is religious and it's not real science. But is that true? Can scientists separate themselves from arguments of design and still function scientifically? Let's look at an example. Pretend an anthropologist discovers some rubble inside a cave. Looking closer, he notices a sharp piece of flint, kind of tapered to a point, and he's intrigued and he explores further and he finds a ring of stones with some bones inside, charred bones, and several other stones like the first pointy one, and some paintings of people hunting on the wall. Finally, he finds pieces of animal skins and some symbols scrawled onto it. Now, everything appears to have been undisturbed for a long period of time. So what are his thoughts, perhaps? Perhaps in his evolutionary thinking, he might come to the conclusion that, well, long ago, hominids used this cave for refuge. They used flint for weapons, and they must have been intelligent because they've recorded hunting expeditions on the walls. And although he doesn't know what the symbols mean on the animal skins, he might conclude that, well, that was a written language. And many people would agree that these are logical ideas based on the scientific evidence that was found. But if he was asked to give a reason for faith in those beliefs, he might be forced to an uncomfortable admission: intelligent design. The rubble inside the cave was the first clue. Intelligent creatures use caves as shelter. The anthropologist was looking for signs of intelligence. The spearhead or the arrowhead might be the second. Flint doesn't usually shape itself into a triangular shape with sharp point, but smart people that know how to hunt do. And even if the one piece of flint just happened to be shaped into random forces over time, the discovery of the other ones clinched it, right? Common sense says it's unreasonable to think that a large grouping of stones arranged in such a specific shape just happened to be randomly generated. What about the other circle of stones, right? And the preparation of the pigments for the paintings, or the representation of these animals and people in the drawings, and especially thoughts that these people may have developed a language, all clear indications of intelligent design. So, is the idea of intelligent design itself religious? No. Conclusions you can make about it because of the evidence we see, however, do contain religious connotations. And that's what evolutionists don't like because of the obvious conclusions. Design implies a designer. Because design implies a designer, evolutionists want to limit the concept of intelligent design to areas that don't promote a godlike figure. For example, the anthropologists above may have no problem with the concept that man designed the arrowheads that were found, but the concept that a creator designed mankind itself, well, that crosses the line. Implying there may be someone we owe our existence to means that we may be held accountable for our actions, and so the question of morality is introduced. So design itself isn't the problem. Where it leads to is the problem. ID will continue to plague evolutionists because it's an important part of scientific investigation. Think about it. How would a forensic scientist operate without it? So, is the concept or idea of intelligent design religious? No. But by saying you will accept design in one instance and not in another because of your philosophical beliefs is actually quite religious. Hey folks, Calvin here. Subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, share the content, click the button, blah, blah, blah. I know, you've heard it so often, it's just annoying. But here's the thing. If you're enjoying this content and want other people to benefit from it as well, kind of think of it as donating to our Answers in Genesis Canada advertising campaign without having to spend a dime. We want to be good stewards of your support, and of course advertising is very expensive, but with the algorithms set up the way they are, it's kind of like getting these platforms that are often quite unfriendly to Christian content to promote gospel outreach for free. And if you've been blessed by this content, understand the importance of biblical authority, and have the means, please consider giving a one-time gift or becoming one of our monthly supporters by clicking the link below. Stay blessed.